The music news for the streets, the music news for your beats, the news for the music stuff that you gonna need. We gon' talk about plugins, we gon' talk about gear. If it's news on this music, we gon' talk about it here. Let's go.
What up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your guy, Sum. Hit the keys. Here today to do a quick review and demonstration over the SeqTrack by Yamaha. I'm pretty sure most of you guys know what the SeqTrack is, but if you're not aware, it is what they call an idea station, but it is basically a mini groove box. It's handheld. You can basically start a beat from start to finish in this little groove box. I've had it for a couple of weeks, so basically I'm going to give you guys my first impressions of this thing, kind of let you know what I think about it so far. I want to make sure I send a special shout out to the sponsor of today's video, and that is Zounds. If you guys don't know what Zounds is, it is a great place for musicians to get gear. If you're down on your funds right now and you currently don't have the money to get a piece of gear that you need, you might be able to get it on Zounds with no credit check, just setting up payments. And luckily for you guys, this SeqTrack is one of the items that you can get without a credit check. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the SeqTrack. All right, guys, so when you take a look here at the top of the SeqTrack, you're going to notice that it has a whole bunch of knobs. All of these knobs are endless encoders. And then on the side, you're also going to notice that you're going to get different controls too as well. So you're going to get everything from play to different projects, to BPM controls. You're going to get scales. You're going to get all kinds of different stuff. We'll go over that a little bit more in detail as we go through this demonstration. But as we see here, each one of these knobs right here in this section is going to control a percussion instrument, or this all is going to control all the patterns. So each one of these knobs can have up to 6 patterns. You start with 3 initially, but if you hold it down like this, you'll see different lights light up, and you can push up to 6, and then you can have up to 6 patterns for each one of the sounds. So the first set of sounds you're gonna get over here, you're gonna get a kick, you're gonna get a snare, you're gonna get a clap, you're gonna get hi-hat 1, hi-hat 2, percussion 1, and percussion 2. So what's cool about this is you can actually scroll through the sounds by using this dial right here. So if I have it on kick, you see how there's a green light lit up? Well, basically, if I scroll to the right, you see how it's giving me different kicks, so it's pretty solid. You can do that for all the other sounds. So then as we come over here, this is gonna be your synthesizer section. So you're going to get 2 different synthesizers that are based off of the AWM2 technology from Yamaha. And then you're going to get a DX one down here, which is based off of FM synthesis. And then you're going to get a sampler in which you can record samples in. I believe the sample length is 12 seconds. But with this, if I push this down, so you'll hear as I push these knobs. So it's currently in chord mode. You can take it out of chord mode really simply by just scrolling this button right here, and now it'll take it to mono poly. But if I scroll back up, it'll take it back to chord mode. So it's pretty nice. You can also hit this key button in all, and it'll put this over here into a chromatic playing mode. So the difference between this keyboard over here and the keyboard over here is that the keyboard over here, all these notes are going to be in the key of the scale, if that makes sense. So we'll go ahead and we'll take that off again. We'll just push this button right here, and then we'll hit key. And so you'll see that it took that off there for me. So then over here, we have another synthesizer. Down here, we have the DX FM. And then right here, we have a sampler.
One.
Over here to the right, we're gonna have some more controls. So we have effects on deck that we can control. And then we also have different stuff that we control right here. So I already mentioned this with the sound. You can control the sound right here. Underneath that, you're going to have your pitch. So this right here will control the pitch of the sound. So if you notice how slow it moves up and down, if you just push down on the knob and then you rotate, it goes much quicker. And then underneath that, you're going to have pan. So this is basically just going to pan the sound from right to left. And then underneath that, you have volume for each individual sound. To the right of that, you're going to have effects. So you have an effects section. So in the effects section, you can either put it on master effect or you can put it on single effect. And the single effect is just going to, basically affect one sound, while the master effect is going to affect the whole entire master track. And then up here, you can easily scroll through them and you can see the effects. So as you look right here, it's scrolling through the effects. There's a bunch of different reverbs. So as you see, it's scrolling through different types of reverbs, different types of filters. You've got resonance, you've got delay, you've got compression, you've got distortion, you've got modulation, you've got a bunch of different controls there. And then as we look over here to the FX level, you have basically an effect that you can put on, and you can change this master effect to whatever it is that you want it to, and you can control the master effects level with this thing. You also have a high pass filter, and then you also have a repeater, but you can change all of these effects right here. So there are definitely some pros and some cons to the Yamaha SeqTrack. I'll definitely talk about a few of those real quick. So a few of the cons with this thing is that as you look here at the keyboard, some of these knobs, they're a little wobbly. You know what I'm saying? But again, it is a $400 groove box, and I definitely feel like for the $400, you're definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, getting your money's worth. And the pots are a little wobbly here too as well. I have a personal issue with this button right here. Sometimes it sticks. So you can see that right there. It sticks a little bit. It's a little funny. I know that's been a problem with a few people on their SeqTracks, but it only does it every so often. So there is that. But I do feel like the pros outweigh the cons. Like there's over 2,000 different presets. You can hook this thing up in your computer and you can use it as your interface. So as we look right here, you'll see I'm using it in Logic Pro. And right now, basically what I'm doing is I'm recording everything off the SeqTrack in the Logic Pro. Obviously, you can't see a waveform because I'm not talking into the SeqTrack. I'm talking into a wireless mic. But that's something that's solid too as well. It works really easily with your DAW. You can get it to work in your DAW real simple. Just set it up as the interface and then boom, bam, it's ready to go. It also has a speaker on it. The speaker's not great, but it's not bad. So if you don't have headphones, or if you're just out at the park by yourself and you want to play something, or if you're in your room or whatever it is and you don't feel like putting on headphones, you can definitely put on headphones with this thing. The chord mode is obviously solid because it allows you just to play chords. And then you can come over the top of that and you can use the keys that are all in key, in which that allows you to basically make sure you don't, go out of key. So the SeqTrack's been compared a lot to the OP-Z as far as its capabilities and everything that it can do. So basically I pulled up a little chart and let's kind of compare between the two. Normally I don't do this in videos, but I just want you to kind of see what you're going to get for the price. So with this, they also compare it to the KO2, but I'm not really so much concerned with comparing it to the KO2 because they're just different kinds of devices. They don't necessarily do the same thing. But as we look here at the SeqTrack and the OP-Z, so the price, the SeqTrack is currently $100 cheaper, as you guys can see. It's got a sampler, it's got the AWM2 engine and an FM engine, while the OP-Z has a sampler and 12 tone oscillators. Now, here's a big part that sets it apart for me is that it has over 2,000 different sounds compared to 384. A lot of these sounds come from like the Modi X and the Montage. If you guys follow this channel, if you watch the beginning of this video, you'll notice that I have a Modi X in the beginning of the video. I absolutely love the Yamaha sounds. And then you'll see it's got a bunch of different effects too. So it's going to have 85 effects compared to the 6. Here's another thing that is absolutely solid is that it has 800 megabytes of memory versus 32. So you can save so much on the SeqTrack. And then I'll show you something else too here in a minute in the application where you can drop samples into your percussion and stuff like that. So you can drop like one shots into where it says snare, and then you can play all those chromatically. So it will add even more basically places for you to put melodies on this thing. As we look here, the sample time, it was 16 seconds. I'm sorry, it wasn't 12 compared to 12. It's got resampling. You can add up to 11 tracks. It's got 128 sequencer steps. It's got 128 voices of polyphony to the 6. It's got 3 to 4 hours of battery life. It's got Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So I also haven't mentioned the application yet. This also has an app that comes with it that works seamlessly with it. And you can connect the app over Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, which is solid. And so you can basically set it up and you can go through all the extra parameters and all that stuff. We'll go through that here briefly too as well. Yeah, like it says here, it's got a companion app, song mode, so you can basically arrange your whole entire beat on this thing. You can have up to 8 projects on the machine. It's got 3 faders, 17 knobs. And then as we see here, it's got punch-in effects and a visualizer here as well. So in comparison with the other machines in this price range, I feel like you definitely get your money's worth. So with those few little cons, I understand the build quality could have been a little better, but it's hard to make it better for $400 at that price point with all the stuff you're getting, especially the sound and the memory compared to everything else. But I do not feel like the build quality is terrible. I feel like it feels like it's a good solid weight. Like it's only about 2.5 pounds, but it doesn't feel flimsy. It doesn't feel like I would break it or crack it or anything like that. It's just the knobs are a little bit wobbly. All right, guys, so what I want to do for you next is I'm going to kind of show you this little demo beat that I made. And I'm also going to use some of the effects on the side so you can see how you can kind of use this, like if you're doing a performance piece or if you're just recording it into your DAW or whatever it is that you're doing with the SeqTrack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and if I push this project button, you're going to notice that 8 little things are going to come up over here, or 8 little lights. So we're on light number 5 right now, which wasn't a beat. It was just a blank project. We're going to go to 4. And then boom, now 4 is going to take us into the project that I'm working on. So over here, like I was telling you about the effects earlier, you can control all these on deck by just, rubbing your finger across this. And you'll notice the lights will move to as much as it's giving you. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense. So like if I push this synth down, you're going to hear this repeater. If I push this down and I hit the filter, or if I hit this right here, I have this on tape stop, so now to put this in song mode, I have to hit all in project. And so now it's in song mode, and you'll see each one of these different lights is 4 bars each. You can set it up between 1, 2, 4, and 8 bars for each pattern. So each one of these patterns here. But I have some of them set up to 2, some of them set up to 4. You don't have to set up every instrument to the same. So like, let's say I know I'm going to use the same snare on the 2 and the 4, the whole entire beat. I can just leave that on 1 bar. But if I want to do drums, I want to switch those up for 4 bars, I can switch that up. And it'll play everything synchronized without a hiccup or anything like that. So this is basically what this beat sounds like I made. It's not all the way mixed down, but let's go. So boom, just like that, we can push play and we're done. So might have messed up a few spots in the repeat, but just wanted to kind of show you guys what it was all about. So let's go ahead here and take a look at the application for a moment. So when you open up the application, it is going to look like this. So you can use this on a phone, you can use this on your iPad, you can use it on your computer. I currently have it set up on my computer so I can record the screen. I don't have an iPad, and I'm using my phone to record the top-down view right now. So I couldn't have the phone posted here for you guys. Sorry for that. But I will put this in the video. So as you see here, you get different controls as you're looking at the application. So you've got GUI editor. This is going to be the most important page here that you use. You have your project sound manager. So boom, when you click on this, It's just going to basically take you to your projects, everything that you have saved and stuff like that. You can hit the home button and come back to home. There's also a visualizer right here that you can use. I don't really necessarily use the visualizer that much, but I'm going to pull it up just so that you guys can see what it looks like. So you can pick one of these to put in the background. So we'll just go ahead and pick this acid first, and then we'll close that. And now if I was to push play, and so as you see that, you can do different stuff with the visualizer. We're not going to get all into that today. But then underneath that, you have a dynamic tutorial. So you have a tutorial of everything that you can do in this thing right here. You also have a user manual, which is very handy. You have a parameter list, a shortcut list, which you'll definitely need because it's going to tell you all the shortcuts on this, like pushing play and all will get you to a certain menu and all the menus and stuff that you need to get to. And then you have it broken down by what you need, basically. So that's nice, whether it's drum tracks, synth, DX tracks, so on and so forth. It'll give you all the shortcuts to that. You have the device connection, and then you have your settings. GUI editor is going to be the most important thing you do because this is going to have, you know, your sins right here. It's going to have your different effects. Like let's say I was to scroll to a new sound and then I was to hit kick. It's going to take me there. As you see here, you have all your sounds. So you have a ton of different sounds here. You know, you can scroll through all these, but you see all the different kicks that you get, all the different snares that you're going to get, all the different everything that you're going to get. And then the same thing is going to apply, like let's say I move over to synth or something like that. So I have this piano, but if I switch to another one, you're going to have all these sounds over here, which is solid. Another thing that's cool is if you're not using the application and you want to get to sounds and you want to switch to the different categories really quick, all you have to do is hold down this sound button. And now you see how it's got all of these different lights lit up. If I click on this one and I push this button, it just went to the next sound in the category. If I push this one. So what it's doing is, as you look over here, it's not just taking me to the next sound. It's actually taking me to piano, keyboard, so on and so forth. So, you know, if I push this, boom, and it took me right to piano, if you guys could see that. You're going to get a bunch of different pianos that are using this and different sounds. And I think that's what kind of makes this solid too, is you just get good stuff. So, you know, like let's say I wanted to, you know, grab a piano right here. And then I could easily add effects on this thing. So I can come over here to my master effects, and let's say I just wanted to add some reverb. You know, we can just scroll till we get to reverb, and then boom, we're on reverb. And you'll see how, if you notice when I was turning this stuff, it was controlling this too as well. But now if I was to push this, so it's giving me some reverb, and then I can either control on this how much reverb I get, or I can actually control on the single track how much reverb I'm gonna get. So that's cool, and you can control all that in this. I'm not gonna go through all these controls, but as you see here, we've got effects, and we can also just come and do it this way too. So if we're not sure exactly which delay we're using, so boom, let's say we wanna grab a delay. Well, all of it's gonna show on the board. So as I switched over to delay, it goes right to delay on the board. But like, let's say we're scrolling through this and we're not sure which delay that we're on, you can always come back here and you can easily find out which delay that you're using. So super solid feature there too as well. So then you can come over here and to perform, and you can see the level, the volumes of everything. So you can raise the volumes up here too if you don't want to do everything individually in the SeqTrack. You have more settings over here. And so this is solid too, because with this thing, so as you're looking at it, you can pick your scale by just hitting the scale button. So let's go ahead and take this back to chords for just one moment. So now I'm in chords. So if I push down one of these buttons, now with this, you can come through your scale like this. So you see how on the screen, as I'm pushing this, it's changing between minor, major, pentatonic, all that stuff. So you don't even need to actually use the app to go through your scales and stuff like that. And then you can also change the key. So if I push it twice, it's going to change the key. Push it again. So, I mean, that's super solid that you can change everything on the board. Then you can also change the octave. So if I hit this octave button, so, I mean, really solid. Again, there is so much with this application that you can do, which would make it solid if you had your phone with you. You can also, if you're not sure exactly how long that you have your project set up, you can come over here to where it says pattern, and then boom, you can set it up between 4 bars, however many bars you want. So you get 1, 2, 4, and 8. And so you can do that also on the board, but sometimes it doesn't necessarily register. Like with the drums, sometimes I have an issue with that. So as we take a look here at the side of the board, you're gonna get different controls from play to page to solo to mute to delete, and then your volume up and your volume down. On the top of the board, you're gonna get control over your bar length, your octave, your scales, your key, and your recorded sample. Over here to the right side, you're gonna get controls over your project, the swing, the BPM plus and minus. You have your MIDI control. So with this, you're gonna get a MIDI cable, and that MIDI cable is gonna be a proprietary cable to Yamaha. So it's not like a MIDI cable and anything else that you can use. So make sure you do not lose that MIDI cable because you would have to order another one. You cannot just use any MIDI cable that has a 3.5 connection. Then you'll also notice that you have audio in, you have your phones for your headphones, and then you also have a USB out. Here on the bottom, you just have more controls over your effects. So when you push these in, you're gonna get more controls over your effects. All right, so next I just wanna show you guys how simple you can put together a beat. We're not gonna make a whole beat. I'm just gonna kind of show you how simple this thing can be though. So you can come over here, we're gonna hit snare first. Let's go ahead and put a couple snares in. So now we have snares in. Super easy. We can come over here to a kick and we can add another kick in. And then we can find the hi-hat we want. Don't forget, we can easily come over here. So we're gonna use this one and then we can just basically dial in our snares. Push play. So then another thing that's solid, like let's say I just hold down one of these hi-hats. Now you'll notice how a bunch of different lights came up. This is basically for note repeat. So I can just push whichever one I wanted to repeat, and now it's gonna make this a hi-hat roll for me. So that's a nice feature too as well. We'll go ahead and just drop one of these here at the end. What do we got here? Maybe we'll put one of these right here and here. Now we'll leave it out. But now we can come over here to synth. All right, so I already have this one set up as 4 bars, so it's gonna record for 4 bars, but the other ones are just going for 1. So I'm gonna push record. You can turn the metronome on if you want to. I'm not turning the metronome on because I have the hi-hats and everything else going, but I'm just gonna go ahead and push record, and normally I let this go around 1 time. It'll go a little slower, and I let it go around 1 time before I add the notes in. So boom, just like that, we have that ready to go. Next, we can come over here to the synthesizer, and then we can add something else on top. Yeah, we'll just add something basic. So we'll go ahead and just push record real quick. You know, and boom, just like that, we can add a bass, we can do all that stuff, we can arrange it out, we can do a whole bunch with this. Ultimately, I kind of just wanted to give my first impressions and kind of give you guys my thoughts on whether I thought this thing was worth it or not. So it's not a full tutorial, it's not a full breakdown, it's not a full walkthrough. Yamaha has a very good video with a full walkthrough of all the features and everything. Loop Hop actually has a very solid video on this as well. Just talking about some tips and tricks that he likes that he's been using so far. And Bo Beats also has a very solid video out on this. So what are my thoughts on this? I guess let me give you guys one more con about this thing. It's that when you use it with a MIDI keyboard, there's an issue. And I've seen people use this with a MIDI keyboard, but when I use it with a MIDI keyboard, every time I hit these buttons are always the kick button, and these buttons are always the FM. There's nothing that I can do to change it. I've looked through the manual, I've looked through everything online, and I can't figure out how to do it. So maybe that's something that they'll fix in a firmware update. But there's a keyboard on this thing, and I figure most people that use this aren't gonna be using a MIDI controller with it. They've got it for it to be a standalone device for them to be able to play all the notes and everything in the keyboard. So my final thoughts are, I honestly think that this is a bargain for the $400. The few little cons that it has are definitely outweighed by the positives, and that's everything that I showed you on that sheet, from the memory to the sounds to the functionality. I mean, you can do so much with this little idea station or this little groove box, whatever you want to call it. You can definitely do a lot. It's built decently. Like I said, the knobs and stuff are a little knobbly, but when you pick it up, you know, it's not, there's no flex in it or nothing like that. You can't bend this thing. I like the colorway of it a lot. I like the orange and gray. There's a black version as well, but I chose this version because I thought that this version was absolutely solid. You know, I like Yamaha sounds. If you like Yamaha sounds, you're gonna love this because, again, 2,000 different presets, get over 80 different effects. You just get a lot with this thing. I just think that for $400, if you're looking for something like this, this is perfect for you. If you're not looking for something like this, it might not be for you. So make sure, if you guys do like this content though, you drop a whole elbow on that like button, hit subscribe and that notification bell, so every time we bring you guys a new video, you can be the first to see. Appreciate you guys' time as always, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Some, hit the key.